Hello and welcome to another sponsored by Card Market video on my channel. Card Market is the best platform to buy your paper cards from, but also the best platform to sell your cards on. And today we'll be playing Blue-Eyed Shark Blade in Modern. A lot of people have asked me to play Stoneforge Mystic, and like, no. Okay, nah, I give in. Let's do that. And I'm playing the Aspiring Spikes version with For Spreading Seas. And to be fair, I believe Aspiring Spike is the best competitive brewer in Magic right now. So I saw the list, I thought, let's give it a go. Let's show it to people, let's play some Magic with it. And I played a match and I want to analyze it with you, with all of you today. Let's look at the list. The list is boil-proof-ish. 2 coasts, a gate, glacial fortresses, field of Ardenvales, 2 plains. So it's doable to kind of keep your land base functional, having been boiled, or playing around boil. Classic. Remands instead of mana leaks is interesting. 1 snap for spreading ceases, which are meant to, cut off Tron, to attack Valakuts, to cut Field of the Dead nowadays, but also to make mono-red decks be unable to multi-spell, for example. Fawn, Sphere, Teferi, classic. Actually really like the three equipments here. Like if you're playing Stoneforge already, I really like 3 equipments. The 3 classic equipments, to Cryptic, to Jace for Typhoons. My personal preference would probably be to do this, because I really like Cryptic and I never play fewer than 3, or more than 3 for that matter. I think 3 is the sweet spot. And the sideboard is also very good. 4 Gust, sweet. Narset for the mirror matches for Uro decks. 3 rejections, let's not lose to that E-Tron deck. To on thin ice, to increase your removal density, to rips, to vetoes for the mirror match. I mean vetoes, not the rips. So that's the deck, and let's see it in action. Game one, I look at this hand and I basically think it's like the best hand absolutely ever, honestly. I've got turn 2 Stoneforge, I can defend with the Fawn, I've got, Jace the Mind Sculptor. My opponent leads with Mystic Sanctuary, so I think of a mirror match in which I'm also even happier to just have top decked a Shark Typhoon. I play Seachrome Coast too, which kind of gives not only preserve information, but also actually maybe sends off wrong information. Like maybe like a blue-eyed taxes or something. My opponent plays Witching Well, so now I know it's not a blue. I mean, it's a blue deck, but it's a Urza deck probably, right? Okay, so now it gives me some information on what's going on. And I play Stoneforge Mystic. And the question is, what do I find? And I personally really dislike Batterskull. Let's be honest. And I know my opponent plays Urza, I know my opponent plays Emery, and I assume that's the case. And I think I can win, and my opponent seems to be blue, mono blue probably, blue X. And my ultimate decision is to just take Sword of one of the swords, and the sword is of Feast and Famine, because I know that I can just on one of the turns equip, attack and tap, hold up Jace, and then like attack and tap, Shark Typhoon, and just really gets going. And I don't think Batterskull is that good, really. Like I don't want to find this equipment which is like a 5-turn clock. And just every chump gives you another turn, and it's just like, I don't get any value meanwhile, So I'd rather just put really some nice pressure on them. I drew another Stoneforge Mystic, so that's a classic. But I think now I would just shock in, pass the turn. I will hold up Fawn and an alternative cost Fawn if I really need to. I hope I don't. But basically the goal here is to play the Needle. Now my opponent, to play the sword, and the opponent plays the Needle. Now my opponent could name Stoneforge Mystic, or they could name Sword of Feast and Famine, which they've seen. If I don't use the Stoneforge, they might name Stoneforge, right? If I use Stoneforge, they might name Sword of Feast and Famine, but then they don't name Stoneforge. And ultimately, I think it's fine if they name Sword of Feast and Famine, because I've got another Stoneforge to find another equipment, and I'd rather Stoneforge be live. So that's why I decide to, as you can see, I tap and tap, because I wasn't myself sure what I want to do. I decide to put sword in, so that my opponent names the sword and doesn't name the Stoneforge. I drew another Stoneforge, so now this is the turn where I think I really want to just gem Jace, hold up alternative cost Fawn, and go from there. Unfortunately, my opponent meets me with a Rebuke, so that's a very unfortunate turn of events, but I still have got Fawn, so the only thing I worry about mostly is another land, an Urza, which doesn't happen. They just play Sword of the Meek, so now I'm mostly afraid of Foundry. Now they do play Foundry, so I just Fawn it. And now they've got no resources basically, but they've got this, they've got draw 2, so, and this, so, actually on the contrary, they've got tons of resources. Now I can play Stoneforge, find another equipment, and still hold up Fawn Spell Snare. Now again, I'm not going to find Batterskull, but no doubt this time sort of with Fire and Ice. And now I can just keep attacking them, they can't block, and also ping it off with a sword. So I think I'm in a good position. They play Bobble, I don't care about the Bobble. They Bobble again, and step I'm activating Stoneforge. Do they respond? They don't. So I can untap. I draw a Cryptic, which is just not a card yet. Bash them for 4, kill the Emery, play a land, so now I'm in a kind of a good spot. I've got Hardcast Fawn, so I don't have to lose a card in the process. Now they probably just end step draw 2 cards, so they load up, now they're on 5, so that's not insignificant. The pace is actually quite fast. End step I decide to crack the fetch land, and I know they could catch me off guard. I could have just untapped, which is what I should have done, thinking about it right now. I gave them an opening to play something. Obviously, I could say, oh, it's good that they do it, because they just walk into my Fawn with alternative cost, and Spell Snare isn't that great anyway. Sure, but I just could have not done that, and just Fawned it and had the Spell Snare, right? So I drew a Teferi. I decide to attack first to just get some more info with the draw. However, so I had a sequence in mind that I could have just played the Teferi, for example, bounced the needle, equipped the sword, attacked, untapped fully, and still had like a Cryptic and potentially a Stoneforge like this. And I wanted to do it, but I realized that was a good play after I'd done it. There's also another thing which I should have done differently, because now I just pass, as far as I remember. No, I Stoneforge, take Batterskull and pass, yeah. and that's fine, but I should have not attacked with this one, because this one damage isn't that important. But if my opponent doesn't play into Cryptic, I'd have something to do with the Stoneforge, and Batterskull will be in play. Now my opponent plays Urza. I can't not Cryptic it. I know they sanctuaried back. A Rebuke, but it's a forced play, because I'm just going to Cryptic it, they're going to counter the Cryptic, then I can Teferi bounce something and just go from there. So it's almost like a forced play. And now I can just Teferi bounce the Construct. Now what I failed to do, and just again I missed, you'll see this game will be filled with a lot of mistakes by me, because I was trying to play very fast, because I knew the match would be long. I tapped Field of Ruin, and I should have just destroyed this proactively, because they've got Urza in play. I have no way to kill it, so they might use it very effectively. So I failed to do it. I bounced the Construct, I attack with this, it has Pro Blue. So I just jam, they can't block, trigger, shoot them. Sure, I draw a Typhoon, doesn't matter. My opponent plays Chromatic Star, then they break Inventor Sphere, they find Thopter Foundry. Now I know they've got Sword of the Meek in the graveyard, which in conjunction with Urza means infinite everything. And then I realized that Field of Ruin was just my opponent must have been very happy to see that happen. However, playing to your outs, I decided to cycle Shark Typhoon, because I may hit a Remand or a Path to Exile. Which I don't, but I gave myself this out as an answer, as a response to my huge misplay. I failed to do so, so I immediately packed the things in. I'm not making my opponent click through it. Yeah, so that's game one. A few mistakes, especially the last one, literally cost me the game. Let's see if I can... what? If I can come back to the match and score some wins. Game two. You know, morale is a bit down after that game, but I opened this hand. It's a sweet keeper sneeper. I start with the Prismatic Vista because I thought, yeah, it's, you know, basic anyway. But again, I forgot that this could be a just Hallowed Fountain, so another mistake right off the bat. So I should already have a tapped Hallowed Fountain in play, which I don't. And now if I want to play a Remand, I might have to fetch Shock. But thankfully, I don't have to because my opponent doesn't do anything relevant. Sure, play land pass. Now I would really wish my opponent played something that I could Remand. So I can cycle through my deck. If they don't, I will just play Shark Typhoon. Sword of the Meek isn't that important, really, But very quickly, because I just remembered how I sideboarded, I just sided it out 4 Seas and 1 Typhoon, and sided in 2 Vetoes, 2 Rips to stop their combo, and 2 Narsets. They've got quite a bit of card drawing. I just remembered. So, they play Sword of the Meek. Now, the thing is that this is a part of the combo, right? So I can just negate. A Force of Negation, it will be exiled. That's a great thing. However, my opponent clearly shows me a Rebuke. So what I decide to do is just to alternative cost Fawn to still have mana up, so I can Remand the Rebuke, need be. They play Emery. I am remanding anyway, just to you know, buy myself a bit of more time. Draw a land, which is gives me cryptic mana this turn. That's excellent. Emery, I'm not cryptic in it. I wait for a better target. Pithing Needle, I don't care. What will they name, really? I don't care. Teferi Hero of Dominaria, no problem. I'm just sharking now, and I will go to town. This is the aggressive draw. Bash you for 2. Bash you for 2, you know. Witching Well, again, I couldn't care less. The bobble again, no problem. They drain 2 cards a turn. That's obviously annoying, but I will just shorten the clock. Now I'll have 3/3 Shark, and I will just mush them. No, 5/5/5/5/5. I draw Jace the Mind Sculptor. I just sort of Fire and Ice. So again, 2 turns ago or so, I said they must have a Rebuke, right? That's why alternative cost cast the Fawn. So if they have a Rebuke, they still have it, right? If that was my read then, they still have the Rebuke. So I can just slam Sword. I will just pay for the Rebuke, but I will be completely tapped out with nothing to do. So I just don't do it. I prefer to wait for a moment that's a bit safer. My opponent plays a Bobble. And again, I have them on a very short clock, so I just hold up Cryptic or snap something and I'm golden. My opponent plays Pentad Prism with 1 color. So that's weird. Why would they play Pentad Prism in a monocolored deck? And both games, they seem to have been monocolored. But they just might not be monocolored, right? Because they play Pentad Prism and they also play Foundry. So they might actually be like blue-black, for example, or blue-white. They pass. I don't really have a lot to do. But I still want to do something. So I ultimately think I will Crypticing something. I could Cryptic the Emery, I could Cryptic the one of the lands. And because they've got 2 islands, I decide to Cryptic the Sanctuary, because then they would have it to play it tapped. However, then I think, wait, maybe I should have bounced this, because then they wouldn't have Rebuke mana. But then I also thought, no, they still could with the Prism, but it would cost them a Prism. But it works. That's perfectly fine with me. Now I untap, I draw a Path to Exile, and now it's a bit different, because now play a Sword. So, I mean, it's not actually that different. And I think my logic was inconsistent. Because I still couldn't play it, pay for the Rebuke, and equip an attack. However, for some reason I decided this turn to do it. I equipped the smaller Shark, so if they want to kill it, they have to kill the smaller Shark. I bash them, I kill the Emery and pass the turn. As you can see, second hollow, so they're playing blue-black. My opponent just taps this, takes mana off of Pendant Prism. So I just decide, okay, in response to the trigger, path your Urza, let's see what happens. My opponent finds a land, so spins Urza, finds something absolutely irrelevant because I'd been clocking them the whole game, and they proceed to concede. We managed to, yeah, normally I say pass the turn, not I trying. In this case, didn't really work because actually, I mean, I kept passing the turn, to be honest, but I also kept mushing them. So now, let's see game 3, let's see how it all ends up being. See you game 3. Game 3, okay, let's watch game 3. Now, I see this opening hand, and I ponder for a bit. I don't know if I want to keep it or not. It seems promising, because, I mean, the thing with this hand, kind of, is that almost no matter what I draw is fine. If I draw opts, counter magic, it's good. If I draw land, most probably white, it's also good. So I just decide to keep it, especially on the draw, because I know I will probably hit that white source or some other blue relevant spell. Now I do hit not really a relevant spell, but kind of. Island pass, my opponent plays 2 drop, so I immediately proceed to Spell Snare because I don't. Spell Snare might not have any other good targets, and they would shut off my Narset. Also preserve information for the Rest in Peace. I draw a Remand off the top, which is excellent because now I can go Remand Narset, probably Cryptic, without drawing a white source this game. Thopter Foundry, I'm just cycling the Remand, that's the only goal here. I draw a Mystic Gate. So basically, I decide to be mana efficient this turn, not playing the gate because it preserves information, just slamming Narset there and finding a Remand off of it. Because now I'm set up to go Mystic Gate, Rip, Remand, use Narset, and that would make a powerful turn 4. Thopter Foundry, I don't really care about it because it will be shut off very soon enough. I'm using Narset. I see Fawn and Jace. I immediately take Fawn because I want to have all the protection I can and just kind of prison them out this game, basically. So Mystic Gate, Rest in Peace. My opponent obviously has a Rebuke, which they have plenty of games, but I think that's almost the reason to play this kind of decks. I think Rebuke is an excellent card. The most unfortunate thing is that people play Witching Well and not like Engineered Explosives, because like Explosives I think is much better than like Witching Well. But Rebuke, okay, so I proceed to Remand the Rebuke. I play a Rip, I draw a Teferi, so again, going to prison them out. One of the strengths, I think, of blue-white decks in general, contrary to like this Band or Sultai or Teamer control decks, this can really be a good prison deck sometimes. And I'm not afraid of almost of anything. If my opponent plays Urza, I'm also not afraid. Sword of the Meek, I don't really care because Rest in Peace holds in check, and if they are to remove Rip, I still have all the counter magic, so I'd rather just hold the phone for whatever really bad that might happen. I've got a 5th land, so unfortunately I still cannot double spell, really, because playing a Teferi means I don't play anything else, so I think this is the turn to go hold up Cryptic or play a Shark, and then the following turn I can go Teferi, hold up Hardcast Fawn, again to keep this kind of mana efficiency plan, which I really value myself. My opponent passes, so just end step, I just do as I said, I'm just Sharking there. Shark 3/3, I draw Jace the Mind Sculptor again. I cannot play Jace and have something else to do, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to play a land, attack them for 3. I know they can make a token and attack Narset, but I really don't care about it, she's done her job. Play a Teferi, I know they have a Rebuke, because I do. So now I will just, no problem, fetch, pay for the Rebuke, hold up Fawn. Right, so I'll do all the stuff there, plus the Teferi because there's nothing really I want to bounce, and I'd rather keep it for some other problematic permanents they might be playing. They equip Thopter Foundry with the sword, no problem. Attack Teferi down to 3, no problem. It's almost meaningless here. Mishra's Bubble, no problem. I can just plus the Teferi. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, so the next turn I will have 8 mana, so I will be able to go Jace Cryptic, right? So just this turn, I can just plus, attack, hold up Cryptic and path the Thopter, or hold up Cryptic Fawn, so that's a good turn, very good turn I would say even. They attack Teferi, just path it, no problem. And now this turn, and I know they can't counter the Jace because of Teferi, so I can just now resolve the Jace and hold up Cryptic. I know Snapcaster is dead because of the Rip, so I can just brainstorm it away. With this hand, I think I'm putting back Snap, Flooded Strand, and now I have double Fawn alternative cost should I really need to. Which is what I do. I bash them for 3. Let's see what happens. They fetch. They take the draw, whatever that draw is. And the situation is really bad, so they proceed to concede. Fast-paced game. Fast-paced game, a lot of action. I think game 1 was interesting because the game 1 really showcased the Stoneforge aspect of the deck. Game 2 focused more on like know to when to turn the corner, and I was holding up interaction, just threat, bash, right? And now this game was also another part of the deck, which is like this prison-y thing, right? So I went from Stoneforge Mystic to control with timely flash threats to a prison deck almost. I think it's a very interesting dynamic that each game could be played so differently within the same control deck because it's basically a control deck. And yeah, that's it. I will probably be playing a deck just a bit more to see how it goes. Let me know in the comments below if you've liked the video, if you've liked the deck. Again, the video is sponsored by Card Market. All the relevant links will be in the description below. And thank you very much for today. And as always, hold my hand, let's pass the turn together and see you next time. Cheers.